hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner pursuant to the provisions, Chapter 231 of the law of 1975, by posting such notice on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by email notification generated by IQM2 to the Office of Independent Press, Bloomfield Life, Star Ledger, Patch, Bristonet, and Tap into Bloomfield. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Here.
Councilman Joanna? Okay. Councilwoman Cruz?
Here.
Councilwoman Davis?
Here.
Councilman Gamble?
Here.
Councilman Rockwell?
Here.
Mayor Venezia?
Here.
All present.
Okay. First up, we have a proclamation being read by Councilman Gamble for recognizing our IT department and WBMA TV.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to start off just adding a couple comments of my own. Just want to thank Bob and Jean-Guy for all they've done. We wouldn't be able to do this virtual meeting without their support. So just wanted to give recognition where recognition is due. So whereas WBMA TV Executive Director Bob Duthaler and Bloomfield IT Director Jean-Guy Latour and their operations have gone above and beyond expectation by implementing a state-of-the-art system that is now looked at as a model for future broadcasting for local and municipal stations throughout New Jersey. And whereas WBMA TV, located on the second floor of the Bloomfield Civic Center at 84 Broad Street, is the Township's municipal access television station, dedicated to meeting the community's interests in the arts, education, community events, local government, and informational programming found on Comcast Channel 35 and Verizon Fios Channel 30. And whereas WBMA TV regularly broadcasts Township Council, Planning, Zoning, and Board of Education meetings and offers a state-of-the-art bulletin board that provides municipal and nonprofit community organizations an opportunity to publicize meetings and fundraising events. And whereas WBMA TV was the first station in New Jersey to produce all of its content in high definition and stream the channel in HD, and whereas in partnership with the Bloomfield IT department, WBMA TV continues to be in the forefront when it comes to local access channels by being able to broadcast live from remote locations and brings live press conferences from the governor's office. And whereas all this could not be done without the Bloomfield IT department continuously enhancing and monitoring cybersecurity and maintaining a secured network. And whereas WBMA TV was recognized throughout New Jersey stations and awarded the 2021 Award of Excellence for Community Development, the 2020 Award of Distinction in Ceremonies and Parades for Fiesta Latina, and the Award of Recognition in Instructional Videos for Bloomfield Township Back to Work COVID Safety Video. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Michael J. Venezia, Mayor of the Township of Bloomfield, along with the members of the Township Council, recognizes the hard work WBMA TV and the IT department has done for the Township and the important role they play providing up-to-date information with viewers and subscribers on multiple platforms. Not sure.
Thank you, Councilman Gamble. I just want to also recognize John Gee and Bob. They both do an absolutely excellent job. You know, John Gee is literally 24/7. I call him up at 11 o'clock one night and he was there for me and I appreciate him. And Bob is, you know, when we came to him last year with all these changes, he he had it all ready to go, like he's planning for years. So I want to thank you both for everything that you do on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a presentation from the Health Department.
Yes, Mayor Sarah Paramount from the Health Department to COVID update.
Hi, everyone. So I was told that council, mayor, the public wanted a little update about kind of what's going on in Bloomfield and the greater context for COVID locally and in New Jersey and kind of what's going on. So I have a few things to talk about. I know I'm the person that sort of is behind the publishing of the reports that you've been getting every Thursday with, updated information on new executive orders and that kind of stuff, and our report, that's the PDF report that you all receive. I did want to mention one quick thing, because last week's report showed that we really only had an increase of 2 cases over the previous reporting week. And in fact, you're going to be shocked when you see this week's case report, because that number is going to go up by almost 100 approximately. So we do have some issues with reporting, sometimes not always coming in by the deadline. Our cutoff is Wednesday night and we run the reports on Thursday morning. But sometimes the lab reports, they just take a little while to get to us. So some of the case counts that are going up this week on the report are from last week, and some of them are over the previous 7 days. We're reconsidering how exactly we're going to continue to report those metrics, because obviously that's a very big jump. But just all of that is to say that our cases in Bloomfield are essentially very much reflective of what's going on in New Jersey overall. On the 20th of just a couple of days ago was basically a record reporting day. We haven't had that number of cases reported in the state of New Jersey since late April. So there were over 2,000 cases, there's 2,400 cases were reported across the state on the 20th. We just haven't been seeing those numbers since the spring. So if you're not familiar with the dashboard, you can get information about cases in New Jersey, in Essex County, and even some local data on the New Jersey state dashboard. And we kind of parse out a little bit of what's going on locally in Bloomfield and send those out every Thursday. But it is important to remember that while we want to know kind of what's going on locally in Bloomfield, ultimately we function in this much larger context. New Jersey is a very densely populated state. People move around a lot, and even what's going on across the globe affects what happens here in our own community. So case counts are going up, which is much to my chagrin. Delta is here. So Delta is, everywhere kind of across America right now, and we are seeing breakthrough infections. We don't have data sort of on the local numbers of Delta cases. Honestly, at this point, it's not really super relevant, because it represents 90% of the samples that are sent to our public health lab in New Jersey that are sequenced, the genetic sequencing that determines the variant, are coming out Delta. So it's safe to assume that if you catch COVID right now, you probably have Delta. And the concern about Delta overall, if you've been kind of paying attention to the media, is that it is more highly transmissible than the original sort of COVID that came on the scene in March of 2020 in the United States. So that's sort of what's going on with us, kind of with our local numbers. So we are keeping an eye on it. We have our team of case investigators and contact tracers that work really hard to try and track down every person. Some of the labs ultimately don't get reported to us, and those people fly under the radar. So if you happen to know someone, for example, who gets a rapid antigen test at a point of care, like a doctor's office, you should ask them if it's been reported to the health department, because it may not have. If you get a PCR test, which is the one that goes out to a lab and you get it, 24 hours or 48 hours later, those usually come to us without a problem. But, just a little public service announcement is, if you hear of that kind of thing, you should ask them if they've been contacted by public health, because we do contact every single case that we're aware of. So we still have some issues with people not necessarily taking the call from public health. We've been, working on that messaging for 18 months now, and with mixed results. So some people just don't really want to talk to us, and we do our best to do contact tracing despite that fact. Vaccination is going quite well in New Jersey. Locally in Bloomfield, approximately 72% of adults are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, which is great news. That's really good. It's a little bit better than the state. 70% of eligible people are fully vaccinated. So that's people over the age of 12. We do have sort of a lower vaccination rate in the 18 to 29-year-olds group. Only 58% of Bloomfield residents who are ages 18 to 29 are fully vaccinated. So we know that younger people tend to think that they are not necessarily vulnerable to serious COVID. That is not true. So we do encourage everyone that's eligible to get a vaccine. So now every person over the age of 12 is eligible for at least one of the 3 shots that we have available to us in the United States. The latest thing was the big announcement from the governor today that school personnel are now going to be required to be vaccinated. Those kind of mandates, I think, are going to become more popular. We're seeing, I know Essex County has a mandate in place, so do some of our neighboring counties, and we're hearing about it at other local municipal levels. Pfizer just received a full FDA approval today, so I think that is going to become more popular now that the vaccine is officially, fully FDA approved. And I think really the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that at the health department, we're really working hard, continuing with our outreach to vulnerable populations and the general public. We did a really cool Instagram live on Friday that was really popular. 130 some people have watched our video so far. So if you haven't connected with the Bloomfield Health Department Instagram, you can find us at Bloomfield HDNJ. So we're planning on hosting some more of those. The one that we did on Friday was our Director of Health Education and me. I was answering some questions about the vaccine and Delta and those kind of things, but we're hoping to have some more of those for general outreach. So we hope you look forward to that. And basically, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer questions because we've been getting a lot of them.
Does anybody on the council have any questions for Sarah? Okay, thank you, Sarah. Next up, Louise, public comment.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We received 3 emails today. The first one is from Susan Mullins regarding the solar panels. Her main question is, why is it taking so long to approve and implement solar panels for Bloomfield town buildings and schools? And she'd like to know when she will be reading an article that we have an imminent deadline on implementing solar panels in Bloomfield. The second is from Norm Sataria regarding 2 major issues: mandatory replacement of lead service lines and rapid rectangular flashing beacon at Watts-Essing Avenue and Berkeley Avenue. And the last is from Florence Rolino, also about the solar panels. She gave a chronological email about the issues of starting in January 2019 when we hired Greener by Design. And then she went into March of 2020 up to the present time of August 2020, and then to the present time as of today. That's all, Mayor. Is there anybody on the phone?
Thank you, Louise.
You're welcome.
Do we have anybody on the line? So just for the public, we have our administrator and our engineer are going to give an update on the solar panel and the contract with Greener by Design in the meeting. So we will have a discussion about that at that time. Township Administrator.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Number 1 through number 3 be presented by Director Skirman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First item is LaGuardia and Associates Fall Concert Series. We're looking for approval to enter into a non-fair and open contract for fall concert.
Can I get somebody
outdoor
to move
concert series?
I'll move in.
Moved by Councilwoman
Second.
Mundell, second Councilman Gamble. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 2, U.S. Sports Institute.
Second item is looking for a approval for a non-fair and open contract for tennis lessons for both the fall and the spring of this calendar year.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councilman Gamble.
One
Okay, I get
question, now that we're going to have pickleball, are we looking into adding lessons for that in the fall, spring?
I don't think U.S. Sports does a pickleball? Because it's
I do have a ambassador, pickleball ambassador that's already been I've been in contact with for the last several months, looking to do free outdoor clinics. We purchased over 3 dozen paddles and over 100 pickleballs. Quick update to that: they're paving tomorrow, and I hope to get the railings up within the next 3 or 4 days. Which, with your approval, we'll probably be able to do a soft opening towards the end of this week or next week, and then an official ribbon cutting ceremony when we could schedule that. But to answer your question, yes, we have. We're going to do free lessons at the pickleball courts.
Great.
Thanks, Mike. And did I get a second from somebody?
I'll second it.
Second, Councilman Rockwell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And number 3, Mike.
Lastly is requesting an approval for O'Boyle Landscaping to maintain Lion Gate for the remainder of this calendar year as far as landscaping and fall cleanups as far as planting and mulching and things like that.
Okay. Can I get somebody to move this?
Move it.
Moved by Councilman Gamble, second Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Yeah, Councilman Rockwell.
Could you clarify what DPW is doing versus O'Boyle? I thought DPW was doing most of the work there.
They are going to be doing all of the grass cutting from Broad Street all the way down the apron to the sidewalks, all of the internal grass portions, not in the wetlands, but all of the traditional grass areas, along with the 3 flower beds for the remainder of this year. We had discussions on that internally with the administration and DPW. And since it was a new park and new added acreage, this was discussed that we should try and do this at least for this portion so that the park is properly upkept.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
DPW would still be doing the snow plowing, garbage removal, turf preventative maintenance, cleaning of the bathroom, stocking, thing like that. Just landscaping services.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 4.
Aye.
Number 4, Mayor, is a request to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Montclair Neighborhood Development Corporation. It would be a partnership to place 10 high school students in jobs in 2021. Last year it was approved for $10,000, and this year the recommendation is $20,640.
Can I get somebody to move this?
Move it, Mayor.
By Councilwoman Cruz. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. This is a great program that we entered into a partnership last year with the Montclair Community Development Corporation Neighborhood Development Program, and I felt this year we should do it again and try to expand on the number of kids. And they also, one of the things that they also do is when they hire the kids, they teach them about personal finance, open a bank account for them, and it's a really good program that we should be looking to expand on in the future as well. So any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Number 5.
Mayor, number 5 is to amend the ordinance for handicap parking at 123 Grove Street. It was researched and recommended by the police department.
Can I get somebody to move that?
Moved. Motion.
Moved by Councilwoman Davis, second Councilman Gamble. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 6.
Number 6 is also a recommendation to amend the ordinance for the removal of a no longer needed parking space at 18 Birch.
Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it, Mayor.
I'll move it, Mayor.
Second, Councilwoman Cruz. It was moved by Councilman Joanno. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 7.
Number 7 is a resolution requesting permission to engage in the Labor Day 2021 Labor Day crackdown. It's a drive sober or get pulled over statewide Labor Day crackdown from August 20th through September 6th. It's a grant we received for $6,000.
Okay. Can I get somebody to move this? Moved by Councilwoman Cruz.
Second.
Second, Councilman Gamble. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. And number, okay, that's it. Township Attorney.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item comes from Forest Hill Apartments. The owners would like to install a new monument sign on the small triangular patch on Davie Street and Belleville Avenue. It's coming to you because that is in municipal right-of-way. As you may recall, there was a sign there prior to this ownership coming in about 2 years ago. They put up a sign, the new owners put up a sign, which we had them take down because they did so without permission. And now they have submitted plans, which the zoning officer has reviewed and finds them acceptable, all except he does not want to, he's recommending that they not have an illuminated sign because it's distracting to auto traffic. But this would just give authorization for Forest Hill to erect that sign in compliance with all other township zoning rules.
So are they looking to put a sign, the sign that they had up?
It's not the old sign. They had that little Forest Hill sign. You mean the one that we made like 6 months ago? It's a little nicer than that.
The massive one.
Yeah, no, it's not that big. It's a little different. It's got stone in it. It's kind of a white sign. Just says Forest Hill Apartments with the phone number on it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, as long as it's not as big as the previous sign.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions or comments on the council? Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilwoman Mundell. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Item number 2 is really 2 separate sub-issues. We received inquiries from people around town curious about purchasing township-owned properties. The first one is a large spot called 27 Federal Plaza. It's been most recently used as a storage area for DPW. A neighboring business wanted to buy it. That, because of the size of it, and it's a buildable lot, if mayor and council had any interest in selling it, it would have to be done through a public bid. It's over an acre. It's just something that I wanted to make you aware of, that there has been an inquiry, but it would have to go out for public bid, would have to go to the highest bidder.
And they're looking to purchase the full acre of the property?
Looking to, yes, the full property. They have a warehouse on one side. I think it's a pet supply business. They're looking to expand their business. Now, whether or not they would be the lowest bidder is another question. Right. A wrinkle in that is this property is within the Harts Mountain redevelopment area. So it would have to, that redevelopment plan would have to be amended to basically release this property from it. But it was put in there as a DPW site. Having not been around in 2012 when that plan was put into place, I don't know if there was a different plan for the property at that time.
Now, is it's zoned for DPW site, but it's more industrial?
So the neighboring properties are M1. So yeah, it's industrial, and the immediate neighbor is an industrial site. I mean, not a factory, but it's a warehouse.
Does anybody on the council have any questions or comments on this, or opinions of what we should do?
Yes. Are we still planning on using it for DPW, or do we need it for DPW use?
No. I think we're gearing in the direction of redoing our current DPW site.
And one thing, Mayor and Councilman Rockwell, what I would recommend is that we get an appraisal, our own appraisal of the site, so at least we have an idea of what the market rate would be for something of that size before we went out to bid.
Mayor, I think that if it's, if we don't have any particular purpose for it, and we don't have a plan down the line, it's better to get it back on the tax roll. So
Yeah.
get some taxes from it.
Yeah, just for some historical knowledge, I think before, I think Nick might have been the only one, Nick and myself, but the initial plan was to build a new DPW site there and then flip the current DPW site. But I think over time, we just kind of decided that keeping our current DPW site would be best than this piece of land.
And it is adjacent to the abandoned right of way of the railroad, which would be really
That's
nice
right.
turned into a trail, but that's not part of the property anyway, so it wouldn't exclude it from being part of the trail. I mean the railroad right of way.
That's right.
Anybody else have any opinions?
Yeah, I have one, Mayor.
Yes, Joanna.
My concern is with Harts Mountain and the other apartments on Westinghouse site, which certainly are densely populated, that we really take a very close look at what's best use, being that that area has going from industrial to residential. So that's my thought. We just don't make a real knee jerk, but we give it a real thorough vetting as to how we can enhance that area, being the nature of the residential nature of that area, Mayor.
Okay. Anybody else? So, Paul and Anthony,
Yes.
you, I guess, work with, can you take a walk at the property and give a brief summary of what you think could possibly, if we can enhance it, or we're just kind of, we're better off just selling it to this factory and letting them expand their property.
Okay, no problem.
All right. If we could have it, I guess, by the next September meeting, so we could, I know the factory wants to move on this, and so we could get ahead with putting it out for bid.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And the other property, very different. At the rear of the owner of 67 Renner Avenue has asked about the small triangular piece of property that's owned by the township behind his property. It's 25 feet by 30 feet, not a buildable lot. So I think they're looking for it just to kind of close off that area and give them some more floor area if they do any additional work. So it's under 1/10 of an acre. It's very small, and because it's a non-buildable lot, it could be sold directly privately to the adjacent landowner if the township is interested. There is no need for it. The only caveat I would say is there's an easement, a water line easement underneath there, so they couldn't build on that anyway. But I think they're just looking for the additional square footage.
And the property owner's been maintaining it for us all these years?
I don't know. I would assume so, because it's still part of 67. It doesn't have its own, and I don't know that there's been any complaints on it, but it does touch the adjacent property owners. Okay. Two adjacent property owners.
I have no problem.
That's a smaller piece. Yeah,
I have no problem.
There's really no need for that.
To the homeowner. Does anybody?
Hey, let me ask you a quick question.
Yes,
I did. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No,
I wanted to ask a quick question about it just occurred to me, and I'm sorry, it was really related to the previous one about the bid. Mm-hmm. Is there a way to when we set things like that, is that a minimum bid associated with it?
We could reject, we don't get, so if let's say hypothetically, we appraised it at $100,000 and the highest bid came in at 10,000. Mm-hmm. We could reject that because it's not in we don't have to take it and get robbed, basically.
Yeah, thank you. That's I just wanted to. I was sitting here still, processing that, and I was like, wait a minute, All right, thanks.
Okay. Item number 3. It's a discharge of a residential rehabilitation mortgage at 220 North 15th Street. The term of this lien has expired, and when it was set, it was a forgivable lien as long as the borrower still owned the property at the end. So this would discharge that mortgage.
Can I have somebody move this?
Move it.
And Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Similarly, but different, another discharge of a residential rehab mortgage, this one at 34 Walnut Street. The lien has been repaid, so we can discharge that loan.
Okay, can I get somebody to move it?
Move it.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Davis. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Finance. I see Carmine on. Carmine?
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a refunding bond issuance resolution, and it was a recommendation by our bond counsel, and this would yield a total debt service savings slightly over $300,000.
Nice. That's what we like to hear. Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by Councilman Joanno. A second.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comments for Carmine? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Township Engineer, number 1.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first item I have is related to our trash and recycling hauling contract. The 5 years for the contract will expire at the end of the year. So we're going to need to go out to bid for a new contract. What I'd like to do is hire a private consulting firm, DeFeo Associates, to prepare those bid documents, because these types of contracts are kind of difficult. They're a little more involved than your standard contract. DeFeo Associates did it the last time, and it was a successful bid. We didn't have to reject any bids or go back out to bid. The price for them to prepare the documents would be $22,040.
Okay. Does anybody, can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Joanno. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Rockwell. I know from speaking with other mayors and elected officials, garbage contracts and bids have gone a little bit through the roof, so we might have some sticker shock when we get these bids back. But I think we used DeFeo and Associates last time, so I'm okay with using them again. Do we have any other questions, comments? Louise, please roll. Oh, Councilwoman Cruz, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So we've been, a lot of the complaints from residents around garbage pickup and recycling pickup that we hear about, what point can we make sure those types of things are addressed in the bid contract, like timing and possibly cans, things like that?
I think the best thing to do is we get a list to Anthony and Paul to relay to DeFeo and Associates and make sure it's in the bid specs.
Okay. Thank you.
And what's the timeline, Paul, just so we know from our own inner workings?
Well, we should certainly be able to award sometime in January for the new contract. You know, and it all depends upon, you know, how many bids we get. You know, it's a process, but
yeah,
we'll start it and get it done as quick as we can.
So September 15th for the council's email is perfect timing?
For the, oh yeah, for the, you mean for the bid spec? Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanno?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. Number 2.
Oh, yeah, the next item is an ordinance prepared for mandatory replacement of lead service lines. Basically what this is just another tool for us to kind of get an idea of where lead service lines exist and to verify particularly when properties change title, that the lead service lines are handled at that point. The ordinance spells out a couple of ways to do that. One way to do it would be if we have a program going, you know, through one of our contracts, it can be done that way. If not, the seller would need to, you know, replace that line himself. In addition to lead, it also involves galvanized, which are also part of DEP's requirements. All of this kind of I mean, you can look in the Star Ledger or any weekend, you'll see like this past week, there were 20 houses that sold in Bloomfield. Now that would be 20 service lines we'd know about and be able to remediate, you know, prior to a new owner taking over. There's also requirements in there for them to provide us a compliant lead sample so we could see what kind of situation we're dealing with. And again, it's all part and parcel of an overall picture. Obviously, we got 11,700 connections, so we want to make sure we pick up as many as we can in whatever way we can, so we can alleviate the existence of lead.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Joanno. Can I get a second? Second, Councilman Gamble. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Number 3.
Okay, the next item, at this point, I would request we defer this to the September meeting. I'm in the process. I just want to verify and confirm some funding sources to this to make sure they're in place before we award this particular contract. This is a big one, so I want to make sure all our funding is in place, and I should have that by the September meeting so we can approve the contract.
Okay.
Also, just for reference, also resolution number 6 in the regular meeting, that would have to be deferred also, just
okay.
Process.
And number 4.
All right. I never like to bring these up, but unfortunately they are an occurrence every now and then. We had a sewer blockage on State Street in the vicinity of Park Avenue. It turned out to be a large boulder of some sort, got lodged inside the sewer line, basically blocking 90% of the area for flow. So in order to avoid any kind of significant backup, which could occur, when you have that situation, we had an emergency contractor, Carner Brothers, come out and take care of it. It's been removed. The sewer line is repaired. The total amount of the contract was $39,014.94 to do that work.
Okay. Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Rockwell. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Township Clerk.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you is an ABC transfer. It's a person-to-person transfer, and it's staying at the same location at 412 Bloomfield Avenue and will now be called La Santa Bar and Grill, LLC. And in your packet, you have background information regarding from the police department, Detective Ritchie, and from the Deputy Chief Schwinn for your consideration.
Okay. Can I get somebody to move this?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilman Gamble.
Second.
Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Township Council, number 1. Looks like number 1.
Thanks, Mayor. So I wanted to bring up, we have a lot of new businesses coming into town, which is wonderful. In particular, I'm focusing right now on the North Center area. And one of the things I've noticed is that the Pitt Street lot, it's really in kind of bad shape. So I was hoping that the township could take a look at that. And I figured that since we were looking at it anyway, we might want to do an assessment if there's any way to increase parking in that area as well. So both from the standpoint of how do we clean it up, make sure that there's good lighting, make sure that it's regularly cleaned, and then also consider, ways that we might restripe it or something so that parking could be increased.
I agree. We need to look at the Pitt Street lot. If we can have Paul and Anthony, if you could take a look and assess that, and maybe one of our engineering firms, and bring John Jar involved to see what we could do for to increase the parking possibility there. It's I think that would be good for the businesses in that area.
Okay. Can I piggyback on that and also see if we can add in the Conger Street lot? That lot is also in need of serious repair and lighting and regular cleanup.
Okay, we'll look at both locations.
Thank you.
And we had a suggestion actually recently from one of the business owners who had inquired if it was possible to do street sweeping in those lots. Like, I know it was specific to the Congress Street lot, but I think it would also make sense for the Pitt Street lot, like early in the morning before people are parking there.
Right. Okay, we'll take a look at that.
All right, perfect. And solar panels, number 2.
Okay, Mayor, I can give you a little bit of an update. Sometime in 2019, the township, they engaged with Greener by Design to do an assessment of buildings that would facilitate or be suitable for solar panels within the township to create sort of a mini grid. At that time, Greener by Design identified 11 buildings in the township that they felt would be suitable for this type of installation. Of the 11 buildings, 9 belong to the Board of Ed, and 2 buildings belong to the township, specifically the municipal building and fire headquarters. I had a brief conversation with the Board of Ed. They're pursuing their own avenue of sustainable energy, which doesn't include the solar panels at this point. And I had a conversation with our township engineer with regard to solar panels on the roofs of our facilities. That's something that really needs to be looked at in depth. And you know, in addition to the solar panels, the township engineer is going to look at other feasible means of sustainable energy as opposed to just solar panels. So without you know, a cooperative effort with the school board, the concept of the solar panels, 11 installations down to 2 just isn't going to work out. So we're going to have to take a step back, reevaluate the town's plan with regard to sustainable energy, and come up with some better, a better concept. Paul, is there anything additional you want to add to that?
Well, yeah, basically, yeah, when we had that proposal and that analysis, obviously it included the Board of Ed buildings. Obviously, school buildings have larger roof areas. So if you take them out, then we have to look at our facilities and see if, like, solar panels on our roofs are going to provide the savings or the bang for the buck that we would be looking for just for solar. There may be other options we can look at to put solar panels. But again, I think what we need to do is go back to Greener by Design and kind of recalibrate the proposal and the analysis and see what we can come up with outside of the Board of Ed.
Okay. Do I have any questions?
I've got a question.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yeah, what is that? I'm not sure I understand what you mean by, or what was meant by, we're not interested in solar. We're going to pursue our own ways of using renewable. What is being proposed? What is it that they?
I think initially the concept was to build the solar panels with, you know, in joint effort with the Board of Ed, and the only way to do that was to have these 11 buildings involved in the solar panel installation. So that theory just really probably doesn't work out with.
No. I don't think you understand what I'm asking. I'm asking, what did the school board say as to what their alternatives that they were considering other than solar? So what I heard was they weren't going in that direction. What direction are they in fact going?
Right. So a little bit of conversation that I had with the school board with regard to where they're going. They've done things like installed more efficient boiler systems. They've put some windows, cellophane on the window to cut down on the permeation of heat in the buildings to try to cut down on the consumption of, I guess, the air conditioning. So things like that would be some ideas that we could look at for some of the municipal.
Is it a financial thing? I mean, this doesn't seem like it's an either or. It could be both. So why can't you still put cellophane on your windows and fix your boilers and have solar solar. What I would like to propose is, Anthony, I really appreciate you having a conversation, but I don't know if it needs to be a conversation of mayor to the school board president or something like that, but it just seems, or mayor to the superintendent. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but it just seems like, we're basically saying we need to step back from what seemed to be a very promising plan to deal with solar, to allow us to use solar in our municipal buildings. And the school was an important part of that. It baffles me, frankly, that when I just got stuck on those words. We're not going to go ahead with solar because we're going to find other ways to save. And I was really stuck there. I really am. And I find it really confused. I'm baffled is the right word. So, I think that we really need to have more discussion, because I'd hate for us to walk away from what seems to be the most the most straightforward way, the forward way. So if it's a matter of like, if this is an issue of turf and they're concerned because we started the thing, we get our test, whatever it is, we can get beyond that.
Right.
I believe we can get beyond that. We really do. This would be, if we were to use solar on so many different, on our school buildings, we could really make an impact. And the idea of shrinking that back to just our municipal services, which we know are not very many. We don't have a lot of municipal buildings, and the roofs are not really laid out for that. We really are basically walking away. It's not even a step back, it's a walk away. And I just think that we really need to have I think this is doable, and we need to figure out what are the obstacles, what are the concerns, and try to get around those and try to figure out a way to make this happen with the schools, because without the schools, essentially from where I'm sitting, I basically hear that there is no solar, that our municipality will not be involved in that. If we can't, if it's not a parking lot, if it's not one of our municipal buildings where we don't have that much of that, this really is significant. So I'll leave it with the rest of the council.
Right,
I wanted to share my feelings.
Basically, with our municipal buildings, it would have minimal. The cost would be too much for what we would get back, especially with town hall, fire headquarters. We could look into that, but yes, like just to piggyback what Councilwoman Davis said, without the schools being interested in solar, we wouldn't have. You're right. We won't have anything with solar in the municipal buildings in the township. So basically, they need to take initiative with wanting solar on their buildings, because most of their buildings are larger and more of a flat roof. Right.
I'm sorry. So what should we do something so that we don't get lost in this moment? And Councilwoman Mundell, thank you for putting this on the agenda. But should we have like a small tap? Should we grab a couple people and say, let's sit down with the Board of Ed? I just feel like I just want to know what the next step is going to be. I don't want to walk away from this without a plan.
We can, Councilwoman Davis and we will follow up with Board President Fishman and get more of a direct to see what their interests are or what their thinking is with solar. But I'm with you. Come on, cellophane on windows, and that's great. They should have been doing that for a while now, but solar should be their priority.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with Board President Fishman, and I'll set something up for us and Administrator DeCenzo.
Okay.
We'd love to have you join us, Councilwoman Mundell. Is that what you're about to say?
You're welcome to go ahead and meet.
Happy to invite you in.
Works. But I just wanted to back up and say too, I mean, we've been having this discussion for a really long time, right? And we've had a lot of community members who have an interest in this, and that they've really been pushing for us to do this for a long time, which is why we even embarked on exploring if it was possible. So I think we would also, and the council was very supportive of this. So I think that we would do well to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Anybody else from the council? Okay, moving on.
If I may. Nope.
Number 3.
That's me again, Mayor. I actually just wanted to check in and touch base about, I know we had some conversations about doing our COVID memorial, and then we were also talking about making sure that our 9/11 memorial was also, looking nice and appropriate, especially given the upcoming anniversary. So I just wanted to check in and see if there was any update on that, as 9/11 is around the corner.
Mike Skirman.
I believe in the council liaison report, Councilman Gamble will speak a little bit to the 9/11 ceremony, but I did speak to Administrator DeCenzo. We currently have two, I guess, designs and proposals put forth for the monument. I received them a week or two ago. We wanted to go back out and seek another proposal, which I reached out to another local contractor last week. I should be getting something this week. The goal will be to have all three proposals together with cost estimates so that we could present something at the September, I guess it would be 13th meeting. Ultimately, the growing season is starting soon in the fall. It's actually still too hot as far as grass and sod and things of that nature, but we have two decent proposals. We wanted to try and seek another one so that we had a little bit more parity, so we could see as far as cost and we could also see as far as design. So that is something that I will be able to present, hopefully sooner, obviously, than the 13th, but it could be something that could be discussed and hopefully move forward. We would try and have that project start immediately after the September 20th meeting so that we would have that done by the end of the year, because I know that was a goal of the mayor and council. So that's something we would do. We also did discuss the 9/11 monument, and for the sake of time, we do not have the ability to try and couple those projects together. So as DPW has always done in the past, they've done a nice job of cleaning up that area, adding mulch and flowers and things of that nature for our ceremony, which again, Councilman will talk a little bit more about in his liaison report. And then the thought would be based on the design that was picked for the COVID monument, we would then try and mirror something similar to that and of that magnitude for the September 11th monument the following year.
Mike, while you're speaking with Councilman Gamble, can you just give an update what we're doing for 9/11?
Sure. Well, I just got moved around on the Zoom call. The last time that we spoke, we talked about doing the luminary bags. So we are going to, we bought battery operated LED luminary bags. They were a lot easier and safer. So I worked along with Councilman Gamble and the library. We were able to purchase 3,000 luminary bags and luminary battery operated lights. We're going to be seeking volunteers to help us on Saturday, September 11th. I set something up on our website where you could go to bloomfieldrecreation.org and you could click the link to register to become a volunteer. We're looking for 40 volunteers in a 2-hour block from 2:30 to 4:30, and then another 2-hour block from 4:30 to 6:30. We would be lighting and setting up the luminary bags all around the historic town green, 2,977, which represents all of the lives that were lost on that day. From 6 to 7 o'clock, we have a nationally acclaimed violinist that the library was able to secure from 6 to 7 o'clock. The physical ceremony will actually start at 7 p.m. and will probably go on for 20 to 25 minutes. We were able to include the Sacred Heart choir as part of that ceremony as well. After our portion of the ceremony has been concluded, we could ask residents and all who are in attendance to do a reflective walk around the town green. And then Sacred Heart is actually going to perform, their choir is going to perform a concert immediately following the ceremony until roughly 9 o'clock. The luminaries will stay lit until 9:11 p.m. that evening, and then the lights would then be extinguished. So this is an opportunity, an outdoor opportunity for residents that are willing and able and want to contribute to that ceremony. You could again visit bloomfieldrecreation.org and you could click our link. There's a banner up. We just had it put up prior to the meeting where anyone could click that and register to become a volunteer. Once you've registered, we'll then communicate with you what exactly we're trying to do. But we're trying to put together the luminary bags. They have to be spaced just about 1 foot apart all the way around the whole entire length of the green and the 2 diagonals, so we can fit everything.
Councilman Gamble, you have anything to follow up or add on that?
No, I think Mike did a great job of saving me having to explain it to everyone. Just wanted to thank Director Skirman and Holly at the library for putting their heads together and coming up with this nice remembrance ceremony. I think it will, I think it'll be a good evening of remembrance, and it, I think it's significant enough to call attention to the lives that were lost and, give the township an opportunity to reflect on that. The only thing I'll add, I did want to highlight that the fall program registration begins Wednesday, September 8th. And then upcoming, we have the overnight family campout on Friday, the 17th of September. Community members do have to register for that because it's an overnight campout. Registration will begin Wednesday, September 1st. There's a limited number of campsites for that, so just try and register early. And then in September, we also will begin the fall concert series. So those will be happening on Tuesdays starting September 21st. And got a good series of performers lined up. The first one will be at Brookside Park. It will be a Motown tribute band. Then the 28th, it will be at Wrights Field, and that will be Latin and salsa. Then October 5th will be at Vassar, and it'll be a Beatles tribute band. And the culmination will be the finale with fireworks at Foley Field on October 16th. And we'll have an opening ceremony and New Power Soul, which they always put on a good show. And then 7:30 fireworks.
Thank you, Councilman Gamble. Just real quick.
Mayor, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off. I also wanted, there was also the library has been tremendous helping with the 9/11 ceremony. I know there was also an educational component that was brought up at the previous meeting, and we've confirmed with Holly, I believe the library foundation has funded several copies of books on 9/11 that will be available to parents to check out at the event, so that they could speak to their family on their own terms about the event and what took place there. One unique feature about that we came up with was those books. They're going to purchase multiple copies of each of those books. Once those books have been returned, the Library Foundation is going to give them to the 8 elementary school libraries in town, along with St. Thomas Library, so that those books are in those libraries so that they could be reserved throughout the whole entire calendar year. I know that was important to the council.
Thanks, Mike. Are we just going to go back to number 4 with Councilman Joanno? Actually, Councilwoman Mundell, did you have anything else for the memorials?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Number 4, Councilman Joanno, are you still with? Are you with us?
I certainly am. Sustainable Jersey.
Yes.
Yes. We are seeking Greener Bloomfield approval for the resolution to continue our efforts to be a certified community.
Did we lose Councilman Joanno? Okay. Let's go on to liaison reports. And then
565. No, I'm sorry, Mayor. Among that group, there are 216 that are certified. This is an advisory group that works collaboratively with the mayor, council, and other nonprofit organizations to seek sustainable initiatives.
Councilman, please get a little closer to the mic.
And the modem, internet. I'm fading it out. This is problematic, but approval for this allows us to move forward. We are well on our way to achieve bronze certification, which is truly acknowledgement for the Township of Bloomfield as being one of those 216 communities out of the 565 within the Township of Bloomfield. So approval by the council moves this process.
Okay. I think I got the gist of it. We need a resolution. He wants us to do a resolution supporting Sustainable Jerseys, our application. Can I get somebody to move this? Move by Councilwoman Mundell. Can I get a second? Second, Councilwoman Cruz. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, liaison reports. Don't all raise your hand at the same time.
I have a quick one, Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman Mundell.
So the beautification committee is respectfully asking residents not to take the responsibility of cutting any plants or flowers in the gardens that they've developed both on by North 15th Street. There's a triangle garden over there, as well as at the Civic Center and the library. Please don't cut them. And they're also encouraging, because they're taking care of it. And as they've explained to me, that a lot of those native plants actually kind of like take care of themselves and don't need to be cut back. So they will work with our DPW to make sure that everything is going the right way and that they don't need to be cut. And they are also encouraging residents not to cut back or leaf blow this year.
Okay. Anybody else for liaison reports? Okay.
Yes, recycling. With recycling, with the banning of plastic bags and styrofoam going forward, the recycling committee is working on a cloth bag with the municipal logo. We're also seeking donors who would like to have their logos on that bag to further accent to move away from what will be the banning of the plastic bags. The second item will be with our recycling contract up for review. My concern and suggestion is the Environmental Commission and the Recycling Committee will again be meeting with Dr. Sebastian Smith regarding composting. Anything that we can do to financially defray some of the costs that you anticipate of increased cost, I think it's something that we should be discussing. We will be. And between the two committees, we'll be offering some guidance and direction. So this, I think, should be an important portion or a future discussion on how we can incorporate on a town-wide basis to save a significant amount of money. And I am kind of fearful, as you are, as to the increased costs. So any way we can entertain discussion is my suggestion, Mayor.
Okay. All right.
Mayor,
yes.
Excuse me, we have on Florence Rolino on the telephone. She had some phone issues. She was on, but then got disconnected when we were at the public portion. So if she could speak now.
Okay.
All right. Can I speak?
Yes, Florence, if you could just state your name and your address, then you have 5 minutes.
Florence Rolino, 45 Wells Court, Bloomfield. I'm just going to read what I have written so it's quick. I'm interested in learning more about the solar panel issue. In January 2019, Greener by Design was given a contract for up to $30,000 to guide the town in choosing which public buildings and school properties are suitable for solar panels, to help decide on developing solar charging stations and on setting up a microgrid. They published a report that included data showing that all of the schools are suitable for solar, and also the municipal and the Board of Education buildings. The report stated Bloomfield could save $2.9 million over 15 years by installing solar panels on these buildings. In March of 2020, however, the contract was renewed for up to $17,500, and in August 2020, the council voted to have solar companies bid for a contract to install solar panels on schools and public buildings. However, no request for proposal was ever posted on the town's website. And as of today, I can find no updated information regarding this issue. Why is this? And then what also concerns me is that as of July 20th meeting of the school board, Superintendent Gonzalez said that solar installations have nothing to do with the school board, and that it is only a town council issue.
Kevin Lindell.
The fact that solar panels will be installed on school properties and that the school board has nothing to do with how the buildings are impacted, seems like a failure of the school board's commitment to improving the Bloomfield schools. Why is there a disconnect between the municipal council and the school board? One more sentence. After spending Bloomfield residents' tax dollars for greener by design proposals, what do we have to show for it? No news from the council and no caring from the school board. Thank you. I'd like to know your answer.
So, Florence, we addressed this earlier. We're going to dig in further and meet with the school board president and see where we could go with it. Just to let the public know, we have to go into closed session. We will be coming back for our regular meeting after closed session. Can I get a motion to go into close?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome back, everyone. We have we're back into open session. We have minutes approval.
Mayor and Council have minutes approval for Monday, April 12th, 2021 and Monday, April 26th, 2021. So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Cruz. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Davis. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Communication written. Louise, you're on mute.
Okay. Thank you. I will be as quick as possible. Updated public notice for PSE&G Branch Brook Substation. Impact Environmental regarding an unrestricted use response action for 136 Arlington Avenue. From Sugar Property Services regarding lead services replacement phases 2 and 3. From Woodard and Curran receptor evaluation form for 1 Westinghouse Plaza. From Applied Earth Solutions regarding 265 Watsessing Avenue. From Frankel Lambert, the Fair Housing Act for 43 Edgewood Road. From Remington and Vernick, correspondence regarding a change order for Spruce and Liberty Streets. Correspondence regarding a flood hazardous area for 110 Washington Street, Realty Urban Renewal. From the Board of Freeholders, ordinance number 8. Ordinance names the playground in Essex County Cedar Grove as the Essex County Thomas J. Tucci Senior Playground. From NJDEP, hazardous substance discharge notifications. 2 Elmwood Avenue, 138 North 17th Street, 128 North 16th, 103 Willow, 17 Pettit Street, 25 Lincoln Street, 97 Spruce Street, 102 Ridge Avenue. From DEP, 26-48 Bloomfield Avenue. Regarding groundwater remedial action permit modification, 26-28 Bloomfield Avenue regarding soil remedial action permit modification. And the last three, Remington and Vernick, Spruce and Liberty Streets, change order. From PVSC, our Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission, standby power generation facility project. And lastly, NJDP site remediation and waste management program for 10 Ward Street. That's the complete list, Mayor.
Okay. Is anybody on the line, Louise?
Anyone on the call?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Introduction of proposed ordinances on first reading. Number one.
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. This is for a removal. So moved.
I got a second, Councilman Joanno. Do I have any questions or comments from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Joanno?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. Number two. Councilman Joanno, number two.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, an ordinance to amend Chapter 478 within the Township Code of Bloomfield and Essex County regarding smoking. So moved.
Second.
So
that was number 5.
Yeah. This is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. Can I get somebody to move this?
Move it.
Moved.
Any questions from the mayor and council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Joanno?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. Number three, Councilwoman Cruz.
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 556, Article 3, water connection and installation. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Davis. Any questions or comments from the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Joanno?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. Hearing upon adoption or amendment of proposed ordinances on second reading. Number one, Councilwoman Davis.
Mayor and Council, I have a motion for a Township Bloomfield calendar year 2021 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limits and to establish a cat bank. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Gamble. Do you have any questions or comments from members of the audience?
No, Mayor.
Do we have any questions or comments from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel?
Yes.
Councilman Joanno?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Councilwoman Davis? She's on mute, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. Number
Yes.
2, Councilman Gamble.
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to repeal Chapter 254, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 11I, Scheduled 254-60, Schedule 20, Loading Zone. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Rockwell. Any questions from members of the audience? Any questions from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel,
Yes.
Councilman Joanna,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Gamble,
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell,
Yes.
Mayor Venezia.
Yes. Number 3, Councilman Rockwell.
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. This is a removal. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comments from the audience?
No, Mayor.
Questions or comments from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel,
Yes.
Councilman Joanna,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Gamble,
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell,
Yes.
Mayor Venezia.
Yes. Number 4.
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 387 of the Bloomfield Township Code, providing parking for physically limited persons. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Joanno. Any questions or comments from members of the audience? Any questions or comments from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel,
Yes.
Councilman Joanna,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Gamble,
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell,
Yes.
Mayor Venezia.
Yes. And number 5, Councilman Joanno.
A resolution approval through public library, a financial review stipend. So moved.
Second.
Hold on. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 478, smoking in the code of the Township of Bloomfield, Essex County, New Jersey. Can I get somebody to move that?
I'll move it, Mayor.
Moved by Councilman Joanno, second, Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments?
No.
Any questions or comments from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel,
Yes.
Councilman Joanna,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Gamble,
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell,
Yes.
Mayor Venezia.
Yes. And number 6, Councilwoman Cruz.
Mayor and Council, I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 196, Code Paraphernalia within the Township Code of the Township of Bloomfield. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Davis. Any questions or comments from the public?
None, right?
Any questions or comments from members of the council? Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mandel,
Yes.
Councilman Joanna,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Gamble,
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell,
Yes.
Mayor Venezia.
Yes. Consent resolutions. Louise, please cross out consent resolution number 6, the award of contract for lead service line replacements phases 2 and 3.
Okay.
Councilwoman Davis, can you please move consent resolutions 1 through 5 and then 7 through 16?
Moved, Mayor.
Second.
Second, Councilman Gamble. Any questions or comments from members of the council? All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Resolutions. The budget. Give me 1 second while I pull up. I'll entertain a motion to open the hearing on the budget.
Mayor, I move that the budget hearing be open.
Can I get a
I'll
second?
second it.
Second, Councilman
I'll
Joanna.
second it.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Second.
Councilwoman Mandel,
Yes.
Councilman Joanna,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
Councilman Gamble,
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell,
Yes.
Mayor Venezia.
Yes. Clerk.
Mayor, this is the time fixed for the public hearing on the municipal budget and tax resolution for 2021. The budget was approved by the governing body on July 26, 2021, was advertised as required by law on August 5th, 2021, together with a notice of hearing for this time. Copies have been made available to the public on the township's website, in the clerk's office, and by emailing the clerk and via the newspaper. There is also a supply in our office if you'd like to pick up a copy tomorrow, and it has been on the website.
Okay, anyone who has not secured a copy of the budget may do so now. Before opening this hearing, I wish to outline the procedure. Each person desiring to be heard will rise and give his or her name and address before speaking. I will recognize one speaker at a time in order of rising as nearly as I can determine. Address all questions to the chair. Where necessary, it will be referred to the individual members of the governing body or municipal officials. Questions must be confined solely about the municipal budget before us. School or county matters are not proper subjects of this hearing and cannot be discussed or answered tonight. I now declare open the public hearing on the municipal budget and tax resolution of 2021. Do we have any questions?
Well, is there anyone on the call regarding the budget?
Observing no further questions, I will entertain a motion to close the budget hearing.
Mayor, just 1 second, please.
Yes.
Is there someone?
There's someone on the call, but I don't think for the budget.
Oh, okay. There's someone on the call, but it's not for the budget.
Okay, so it's
Oh, Mayor, I move that the hearing be closed.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Louise, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes.
Mayor, I request that the clerk be instructed to read section 2, the adopting resolution for the budget.
The clerk will read the resolution.
Resolution to amend the budget.
I'll second.
Okay. Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution to amend the budget. Whereas the local municipal budget for the year 2021 was approved on July 26, 2021, and whereas the public hearing on said budget has been held as advertised, and whereas it is desired to amend said approved budget. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Bloomfield, Essex County, that the following amendments to the approved budget of 2021 be made. Anticipated revenues from and to. From $727,292 to $646,400. That's for miscellaneous revenues. Also, consolidated municipal property tax relief aid, $5,647,840 to $5,728,732. Total section B, state aid without offsetting appropriations, $6,375,132 to the same amount, $6,375,132. Section 10, dedicated water utility budget, dedicated revenues from water utility, $2,205,837 to $2,283,137. Next section is total operating surplus, $2,205,837 to the same $2,283,137. Miscellaneous, $175,000 from to $97,700. Total water utility revenues from $10,160,837 to $10,160,837. That concludes that, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, I offer the foregoing resolution and move its adoption.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Louise,
please call the roll.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. The resolution is adopted. All right, new business.
Mayor and Council, an ordinance on the discussion of recreation part-time salary ranges. So moved.
Second.
Mayor, we need to go back to the script. Councilwoman Mundell has to read the second section.
She did already.
That was the amendment.
Then go ahead, Louise.
Okay. Be it resolved by the council members of the Township of Bloomfield, County of Essex, that the budget hereinbefore set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization of the amount of $60,461,691.11 for municipal purposes and $264,617 that's for open space, recreation, farmland, and historic preservation trust fund levy, and $1,750,217 for minimum library tax. That's it, Mayor. Would you like me to take the roll on that?
Yes, Louise.
Councilwoman Mundell?
Yes.
Councilman Joanna?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Gamble?
Yes.
Councilman Rockwell?
Yes.
Mayor Venezia?
Yes. The resolution is now adopted. New business, number 1.
Mayor, I have an ordinance on discussion of recreation part-time salary ranges. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Rockwell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Number 2.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution approval of title change in the Finance Department. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Number 3.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution approval for step change Finance Department. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Joanno. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 4.
Is that the library?
Yes.
The stipend, Mayor? Okay, I have a resolution approving for the Bloomfield Library a financial review stipend. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 5.
Mayor and Council, a resolution approval organizational changes administration. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Davis. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 6.
Mayor and Council have a resolution for the approval of title changes in DPW. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Gamble. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Number 7.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for the approval for title change. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Rockwell. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Number 8.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for employee status change in DPW. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 9, Councilwoman Mundell.
All right. Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for employee status title change, DPW. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Joanno. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 10.
I have a resolution approving the part-time DPW position. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Cruz. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 11.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for appointment of groundskeeper. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Davis. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 12.
Mayor and Council, have a resolution regarding employees 1210 and 1295. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Gamble. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 13.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for the new appointment of an SELO. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilman Rockwell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 14.
Mayor and Council, I have a resolution for the appointment of new hires in the fire department. So moved.
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Mundell. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Number 15, licenses. Do we have any licenses on the agenda tonight, Louise?
Yes, would you like me to review them? It's just for informational purposes, but I'll be happy to read them. We have raffle licenses for the Charles Seller Foundation, Bloomfield High School Home and School, Bloomfield High School Home and School, the Bloomfield High School Educational Foundation, St. Thomas the Apostle Church, Home and School Association, St. Thomas the Apostle, again for St. Thomas the Apostle Home and School, Sacred Heart Parish Multicultural Ministry. And administratively, we approved for the Recreation Car Show, T.O. Eddies, for the Health Department's Back to School giveaway, Scream Truck by Jason Black. There were 3 vendors for BCA's Dinner Under the Stars that was approved. There were vendors approved for the barbecue competition, for Mayor's Backpack giveaway, Danny's Soft Serve Corporation ice cream, and for the new student orientation at Bloomfield College. They were approved administratively.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.